All right, everybody. It is 6 p.m. on the dot. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get started. So thank you so much for those of you who have joined us tonight. We're very excited to have you. My name is Danielle Schwager. I am a recruitment specialist at TriC. I work at the Western Campus in Parma, and my job is to help students through the application and admission process. So we have some colleagues of mine here from our STEM department who are going to talk to you about wonderful opportunities that TriC can offer you. After which I will talk for a few minutes about the admissions process and just a quick overview. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to my colleagues, Rebecca Stoltzman and Dr. Brathwaite.
Hello, good evening. Can everyone hear me?
Loud and clear, Dr. Brathwaite. It's great.
So I can only see Rebecca and Danielle, and hopefully everyone can see me. So I'm going to share my screen with you. Haven't done this in a while. So I go to share, and I want to do my PowerPoint. Tell me if you can see my screen.
Yes, it looks great.
Should you choose Ohio first?
Yes.
Okay, excellent, excellent, very good. So this is a grant that is funded by the state of Ohio, and the intention is to keep students here in Ohio once they have graduated from an Ohio institution. So definitely the name Choose Ohio First. The requirements are spelled out. Underrepresented minority or first generation college student, studying STEM discipline and new to the program, full or part-time enrollment, minimum 3.0 GPA, internship, co-ops, experiential learning. The benefits of being in this program: stipend and scholarships and book stipend up to $2,713, which translates to a nice, handsome $5,426 per year. That is scholarship dollars that is coming to the student. Paid internships, co-ops, and experiential learning experience. Possible Choose Ohio, the COF is Choose Ohio First Scholarship at the four-year schools, research and presentation skills, and of course the completion of the associate degree. So I have not been involved much with this program here at the Western Campus because there are other people that are engaged with the program here at the Western Campus. Dr. Charles Dahl being the principal person who is involved here at the Western Campus. But I do have to share one anecdotal story that just happened last week, if you guys don't mind. Do I have your approval? So
Yes.
Back in 2008, I mentored a Choose Ohio First scholar whose name is Michael Madison. Mike was an older adult returning to school at TriC. And we found out that he was absolutely brilliant. He loved mathematics. He had been coming to TriC since the 80s, off and on, with gap years of sometimes as much as he's been gone for 8 years. But he finally decided to come back and finish that associate degree at TriC. We discovered him. He became a Choose Ohio First scholar in 2009. His summer internship was at Kent State University for the summer, where he did liquid crystal research. You said, what the heck is liquid crystal? That's the computer screens that you're looking at. Many of your devices are, the display are liquid crystals. Mike, after TriC, transferred to CSU. Well, he completed 2 associate degrees at TriC, the Associate of Science and the Associate of Arts. Transferred to CSU, completed his bachelor's, stayed at CSU, completed his master's degree in electrical engineering. right out of CSU, got a job with Cleveland Public Power, was there for a couple of years, moved on and established his own business. This last Saturday, I had some electrical problems, and who do I call? I call Mike. And in the rain, he came to my house and took care of my electrical problems. And the positive side of that, he is now, just yesterday, I completed for him a recommendation to CSU for the doctoral program in electrical engineering. That's the power of Choose Ohio First, that anecdotal story. So we move on to our next slide. How to apply. Students studying in the STEM field. So that is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So any area of that, and medicine is the second M of that. Students interested in internships, corporate experience, co-ops, experiential learning, students looking for financial support. So please pay attention to the web link. Go to that web link, www.tri-c.edu/programs/honors. Click on that, and that brings you to the application for Choose Ohio First. You need a personal essay, a short essay about why you want to study STEM, and a letter of recommendation, preferably from someone at the college that you have encountered, but that letter can also come from someone outside of the college. And the anecdotal story that I shared with you, Mike's letter of recommendation came from my physics colleague. He was taking college physics 2 with Dr. Indefru, who recommended that he become a Choose Ohio First scholar. Rebecca, any comments?
No, you did a great job. And there's going to be time for Q&A after Dr. Bradford finishes. So you can
All right, very good.
questions then too.
Okay. So next I want to tell you about, get my slides here. The Bridges to the Baccalaureate program. This program has been at TriC since the 90s, probably 95, 96. We first had this program at TriC. Back then, we called it Bridges to the Sciences, to Success in the Sciences program. Most recently, under the National Institutes of Health, we had to resubmit the grant, and the program name has changed. It's now called Bridges to the Baccalaureate degree program. Again, very similar to Choose Ohio First. It's a STEM-based program. So unlike Choose Ohio First, it allows psychology. And you might ask, why is psychology fitting in with STEM? The grant is funded by the National Institutes of Health, and within the 23 Institutes of Health, there is a National Institute of Mental Health. And so that's where psychology fits in as part of this STEM. You must be enrolled as a full-time student, which means carrying 12 credits or more, an overall GPA of 2.8 and 3.0 in the sciences, if you're in the sciences or in psychology. Internships in a research setting at either Case Western Reserve, Cleveland State University, or Case Western Reserve University. So those are the two schools that we're currently affiliated with. The stipend is quite handsome. It's $3,700 per semester, and there's additional funding that actually comes along in the summer. I think that's another $1,000 or so that comes out in the summer. So it's a fairly nice stipend once you are part of the program. It's paid to you automatically as part of this program. No timesheets are required in our old grant. You have to submit timesheets signed off by your mentor, signed off by me. Students in this program are now paid a stipend, just like how graduate students are paid for their work. You get an opportunity for faculty and research mentoring. So you're mentored by a TriC faculty while you're from at TriC, and then you're mentored by a research faculty at CSU and CWRU. Research and presentation skills. One of the requirements of the program is that, and Rebecca is now in charge of our Student Success Symposium, that students who are doing research, we require that they present at the Student Success Symposium. So you're presenting locally. You get the opportunity to present also nationally. You get to present at the state level, wherever there's a conference that we can get you into. We want to get you to give you that research presentation opportunity, which I didn't get as an undergrad. I got my research presentation when I was a graduate student. We have a number of favorite conferences that we like to travel to. I just call them by acronyms. I'll just repeat the names very quickly. So the first one is the Annual Biomedical Research Conference for Minority Students. The second one is the NSS, that's the New England Science Symposium. The third one is the Cell Symposium. And the last one, I don't know what the GEM stands for, but it's the GEM Consortium. And I can give you anecdotal stories on each one of those where TriC presented. The first two conferences have juried sections, so that means that the students can win prizes. And at one of our Abercrombie's presentation, one of our students won an all expense paid trip to Hawaii. And I said, can you take your TriC mentor? They said, no, you can take the mentor from CSU or Cleveland State or Case. And the mentor from Case got to go to a symposium in Hawaii paid for by the prize that was won by that particular student. So the contact person for Choose to the Baccalaureate program is Kathleen Cottrell. Her office is right down the hall from me. I've listed her extension and her email. And so you can reach out to Kathleen if you are interested in the Bridges to the Baccalaureate program. It's a wonderful experience. Students who are part of this program have gone on and gotten MDs, PhDs, masters, bachelors. A few stayed at the associate degree level because they were wooed away from completing the bachelor's degree, because during the internships, they were learning the lab environment so well that the mentor of the lab recruited them to be their technicians. And then they got stuck, life happened. So a good example is Raylene Coggins, who now is probably in year 15 or 16 at the Cleveland Clinic working in a lab as a lab scientist. Never went on to finish her bachelor's degree, but has been, and I'm sure is now a senior technician at the Cleveland Clinic Foundation. Back then we had an association with the Cleveland Clinic. The next program I want to talk to you about is the Lewis-Stokes Alliance for Minority Participation, and we abbreviate that as LSAMP. You will notice some very similar requirements between the Lewis-Stokes Alliance and the LSAMP program and Bridges to the Baccalaureate program. STEM disciplines and NSF. So the Bridges is funded by the National Institutes of Health. The Lewis-Stokes Alliance is funded by the National Science Foundation. So one is abbreviated as NIH and the other is abbreviated as NSF. So no minimum GPA for the Lewis-Stokes Alliance. You can be half-time, so you can be taking 6 credits per semester. Again, you are exposed to faculty mentoring and research mentoring. And for the Lewis-Stokes Alliance, you must be an underrepresented minority. For the Bridges to the Baccalaureate, like I point out, you can be underrepresented minority, or you can be a first generation college student. So anyone who is a first generation college student, doesn't matter your ethnicity, can be part of the Bridges to the Baccalaureate program. Stipend is not as generous because this is a much smaller grant. We are comparing $60,000 a year to $2.5 million over 5 years. So you can see the big difference between that is $500,000 a year versus $60,000 a year for the two grants. So the stipend here is not as generous, which means that the LSAP program is a lot smaller than the Bridges. Faculty research mentoring, scholarship funding at CSU or any of the 4 Alliance schools in the Alliance. So there are 9 schools in the Alliance, 4 community colleges, and 5 four-year schools. If you click on that link that I've put into the PowerPoint, if time permits, we can go back and take a look at that. That highlights the 4-year schools. So we are connected to Cleveland State University. Columbus State Community College is connected to Ohio State. Moving further south, Sinclair Community College in Dayton is connected to, I believe, to Wright State. And then Cincinnati Community College is connected with the University of Cincinnati. So that each of the community colleges are paired with one of the senior colleges. And the reason for that pairing is the hope that students will make a smooth transition. If students are place bound locally, they can make a very smooth transition to the 4-year institution and continue their funding as a LSAP scholar. The goal of LSAP long-term is to get you that graduate degree. It wants you to get a master's, like I talked about Mike Madison, and it wants you to keep on going to continue on if possible and earn that PhD, which Mike is now attempting to do. Travel, again, for the LSAP, because we're smaller, is not as readily available as the Bridges. Here, students only get to travel down to Columbus for two days for the Alliance-wide. That means that all 9 schools are coming together, and you get to build relationships to your fellow LSAP scholars during that conference. We have not gone to the conference last year because of COVID, and we probably, in 2019, 2020, we didn't do the conference because of COVID. Hopefully we'll return in 21 or 22. One of the advantages of being a Lewis-Stokes Alliance, that 4 to 6 of your college credits can be paid for in biology by 2 really excellent courses that have been developed specifically for the Bridges and LSAP. One of them is called Introduction to Research Method. And so when I was teaching, I taught a part of that Introduction to Research Methods course. And the second course, which I helped develop, and we offered it for the very first time during our spring semester, we offered a course that we call Course-Based Undergraduate Research Experience, and abbreviated that CORE. So we're taking that course and we're treating you like you are a graduate student who's involved in research. There's a project that this particular course was led by Dr. Margaret Leonard, who is an entomologist. An entomologist studies insects, and so that's her joy, to go out and collect bugs and do things with them. And she took her students out, they did field work, they collected insects, they brought them back to the lab, they extracted the DNA, they ran what is called the polymerase chain reaction, and looked at the DNA sequence and asked questions about that. So that is, and we will pay for that course if you are a LSAP scholar. And we call our students scholars, both in the Bridges and in the LSAP program. The next STEM opportunity that I then want to talk to you about is the Associate of Science. So completing the Associate of Science would have a requirement of 60 to 65 credits, and you can do that in biology, chemistry, or physics. I'm not going to show you the sequence for all 3 of those because there are similarities, but at TriC, we have mapped out the biology sequence for you. So this slide is pretty busy, but I just want to show you that in this recommended semester sequence, there's some math, there's some biology, there's some chemistry. More biology continues, more chemistry continues, but also notice in here are your humanities, your softer courses, so that you're getting prepared for a full transfer to one of the four-year schools in Ohio. Students, believe it or not, transfer outside of Ohio. And again, I can share anecdotes with you. I had a student who came to TriC as a back then it was called post-secondary early enrollment option, PSEOP. Today we call it College Credit Plus. He was homeschooled and became my mentee. I worked with him, and he eventually, I funded him scholarship dollars so that he can transfer to the University of Maryland in Baltimore County. He finished up his bachelor's at that university, and then he went on to Penn State for his master's, stayed at Penn State, stayed within the Penn State system, and got his PhD. And he kind of disappeared off my radar for a couple of years. He got married and stuff like that. Of course, you know, now he has a wife, so he doesn't need Dr. Bradford anymore. And about 2 years ago, he dropped me an email. And to my surprise, he is now a professor at Stanford in robotics. So again, anecdotal stories that even though we want you to transfer within Ohio, you can transfer outside of Ohio and be as successful. So the third semester sequence, notice again, you're completing many of the things that is required, your communications, your psychology, your English, your philosophy, that leads to that associate degree completion. And then your fourth semester, you're wrapping up some of this more challenging sciences, organic chemistry to general college physics to, but in there you can see that there is some sociology, that you're not overburdening yourself with the sciences to complete that associate of science in biology, in chemistry, in physics. And moving on to the four-year school. We see this merely as a transfer degree, even though having completed it in biology, chemistry, or physics, you would have acquired some lab skills that can be utilized anywhere in the United States. But we would hope that you would want to utilize those lab skills in Ohio. They can be utilized in hospital settings. They can be utilized in industrial settings. So I've had students who have studied with me, gone on to work for Sherwin-Williams, gone on to work for Ameritas, gone on to work for, I think there's a company called Tremco, where it wooed away one of my students again. After he finished the associate degree, I got a call from Tremco saying, I need a student who has lab skills and can come in, hit the ground running. I recommended Percy, and they wooed him away from continuing on for his bachelor's degree. So I just want to guard you against that. When you leave TriC, you're so well trained that you can hit the ground running and get distracted from completing that bachelor's degree, which we are hoping for you to keep moving on. On my final slide, I want to talk to you about things external to TriC that happens when you've studied here. There are opportunities that exist now across the country that many students are not aware of. So Rebecca and I threw this slide in at the last minute because Rebecca and I were talking. I said, should I bring this in? And Rebecca said yes, because many students don't know about these opportunities. There are 17 national labs with strange names like Fermi, Oak Ridge, Sandia, Berkeley. There's one in New York, Brookhaven, So strange names for these national labs. But within these national labs, there are community college internships that are specifically earmarked for community college students. So you're not competing with anyone from a bachelor's degree or higher. You're only competing with students who are coming out of the community college. That doesn't make the group small because there are more than 1,100 community colleges in the United States. So you're competing with, at that level, and the number of internships that are offered are approximately 100 per summer. You get to go to that national lab facility. You're housed, you're fed. When one student here from the Western campus, his name was Derek. When Derek got his internship, Derek drove down to Illinois. They said, park your car. Here's a car for you. This car you would use to drive back and forth to the lab. You can use your car for your regular events, but driving back and forth to the lab, they're going to give you a car because they only want a certain type of vehicle on the national lab campus. You have to, the campuses are gated. You just can't walk onto the campus. And so Derek got to drive a car, saving on gas, while he did his internship at Fermi Labs in Illinois. Derek came back to the West Campus, finish up his associate degree, transferred to Ohio State, and has now completed his bachelor's degree. And I have encouraged him to keep working within the national labs. There's what is called a post-bac program, where they bring you in for a year or two. You work on a project. You're given a salary. It's not the best salary in the world, but you're given a salary. And during that time, they're prepping you to get ready for graduate school. So that's what the path I encourage Derek to consider pursuing. There are 23 national institutes, and you can just type in the word National Institutes of Health into Google, and you will see them pop up. They have names like the National Institutes of the Eye, the National Institutes of Mental Health, National Institutes of, I don't remember all the names, but they're there. They again offer summer internships, again, specifically for community college students. Again, you're not competing. And not all 23 offer an internship every summer, but there are enough internships that students at TriC can definitely compete for at the National Institutes of Health. The Department of Energy, and I put that / NASA. I think NASA is part of the Department of Energy. I'm not 100% certain with that. But if it's not, there are summer internships at NASA. We've had 3 students 3 years ago from TriC who got that summer internship in mathematics at NASA. Like, summer internship at mathematics? So we've hit some of these places. We've never gotten a student in the Department of the Navy, but I do have inside contact. If any student is interested in the Department of Navy, a colleague of mine, he is at Howard University as a professor of chemistry, and he has a adjunct appointment at the Department of Navy. So every summer, he is at the Department of Navy with his research team. A strange place for a summer internship, the Department of Agriculture. We've not gotten any students yet at the Department of Agriculture, but you think that's a strange place. But when you look around our country, there's lots of farmland. Somebody has to control that farmland. There are lots of animals that are part of our diet. Someone has to be responsible for that. That's all the Department of Agriculture. And summer internships, again, are specifically earmarked for community college students. You're not competing with the 4-year schools. I chose many of the places where there are earmarked for community college students so that you can see that you're not competing. National parks, again, one of our students here at TriC, working with her professor, Joe Koch, Joe connected her to a summer internship in the national parks. She didn't think that she would get it, but there happened to be a national park someplace in Mississippi. That's what Joe told me. I've never been to Mississippi, so I don't know that is true. but that is where that student end up with her summer internship in a national park in Mississippi. A former student of mine, he is now the manager of one of the national parks in Alaska. He studied with me here at TriC. From TriC, he went on to Kent and did his bachelor's. From Kent, he went on to the University of Anchorage in Alaska and got his master's. And now he is out there as a manager in one of the national parks. He's a wildlife biologist in one of the national parks in Alaska. The National Science Foundation, which I abbreviated here as NSF, sponsors what are called research experience for undergraduates. These are all undergraduates. So now this is the wide open market. This is not specifically community college students. These are all the schools that you can think of in the Peterson Guide to Colleges and Universities. This is the undergraduate students that you are now competing with. So this is a very competitive area. And so one of the things that I was fortunate and able to do, I co-wrote a grant a few years ago with John Carroll University. We co-wrote a research experience for undergraduates. So we got funded for 4 years. And in that co-writing of the grant, I specifically wrote in community colleges so that we were able to get funding for 4 years where I got to pick the community college student, the TriC student that I wanted to be part of that REU. There were about 20 students from across the country. So John Carroll picked 17 and I picked 3 from TriC. From those 3 students that I picked each semester, all 12 of them, no, 11 of them, because 10, because 2 of them repeated the REU with me twice. So all 10 of those students have gone on to success. I'm in a meeting, Mike. So that wraps up my STEM focus, careers in STEM. Example that to show you the power of TriC and to show you the power of STEM, not just in our state, but across the country. I will stop and entertain questions.
Just to let you all know, you should be able to drop questions into the chat. So please feel free to pop in questions there if you have anything for Rebecca or Dr. Brathwaite.
So I'll jump in for a second if to help start some questions. So Choose Ohio First recently changed. So the state expanded it a little bit. It used to be that you had to be a new incoming student to the college in order to receive the scholarship. And when I looked at the list of potential people that were attending tonight's session, I saw that there were some current students. We are now able to do what the state is calling internal transfers, which means, for example, say you started your career at TriC thinking you were going to be an accountant, and you specified that your program of study was accounting, and then you took a course at TriC and decided that's not for me. I want to go into medical assisting or something. The semester that you change your program of study from accounting to medical assisting or one of these STEM disciplines, we can award Choose Ohio First to you. So we can now do internal transfers also. So I'm not sure if some of you attending today are thinking about going into STEM and are current TriC students. This could be an opportunity for you as well to enter that program. And like Dr. Brathwaite mentioned, all of these programs provide you with faculty mentors that will help you, whether it's program planning, career exploration, if you've got questions about what you're going to do afterwards, or just helping you navigate the college and classes, that kind of thing. Our mentors are here to help you in any kind of unique capacity that you have.
So there is a question in the chat. There's actually a couple here. The first one is, any opportunity for those pursuing technology associated degrees or technology associate degrees, either one?
So Choose Ohio First defines IT is listed as one of the areas that we can support with the Choose Ohio First grant. So yes.
Yes. And LSAM will do business solutions, IT business solutions. It is considered part of LSAM. And there's one other IT career that is actually on the website. So that on that website that I put in, I can put my screen up again. You can go on to the LSAM page, and you'll see that for TriC, there are 2 IT specialties that make it as part of LSAM also.
And Dr. Brathwaite, maybe it would be helpful to copy and paste that web link into the chat so students could pull it up on their home computer as well.
Okay.
Then there's another question about a bridge to back program, if that's open to all.
It's so underrepresented minorities and first generation college students.
But I also saw the next question. The federal government identifies underrepresented minorities as also economically underrepresented. So we have a lot of flexibility with that. And to answer the next question, LSAMP is the only program that has been listed tonight that has a very specific population of students that it's aimed for. Choose Ohio First and Bridges to the Baccalaureate are open to more students. So there was a question about, are there these programs only for minority students? LSAMP is for underrepresented minority students. The other 2 programs that have been listed have more flexibility and are open to lots of students. One of the nice things too is that the Choose Ohio First program, if you haven't gotten this, I'm really plugging Choose Ohio First at the moment. Choose Ohio First supports full and part-time status. So one of the nice things about that too is that depending upon your program of study, and it is open to our health careers programs, there are times when, if you're in nursing, for example, you might not be technically taking a full-time course load at the college because of your clinicals. And Choose Ohio First allows you to kind of go back and forth between taking a full-time course load and a part-time course load. A lot of our other programs don't give you that flexibility.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, well, with that, I'm going to go ahead and talk for just a few minutes, and trust me, anybody who's on tonight, still pop in questions in the chat. That is absolutely fine. We will get to those at the very end. There will still be additional time, but I'm going to talk briefly about how to get started at TriC if you are interested. So there are a few different steps depending on what type of student you are. So if you are a brand new college student, that means you are somebody who has not completed college level coursework after graduating from high school or earning your GED. A transfer student would be someone who has completed college level coursework at another college or university, and you want to transfer that credit and coursework to TriC. A transient student or a visiting student is a student who has who currently attends another institution but wants to take a class or 2 and transfer it back to their home school. I'm getting a little feedback here. So Dr. Brathwaite, is it okay if I mute you
Yeah,
for a second?
yes.
Or can you? All right. Perfect. Great. And then the last part is the one that's not up here is a returning student. So if you have ever taken classes at TriC and you stepped away from school for a little while and you want to come back, you would actually apply as a returning student. And your steps are going to be pretty straightforward. Everybody's going to start with the same step. Online application. Our application is free, so it does not cost you anything to apply to TriC. For most students, you're going to be going through the financial aid process, so you're going to complete the free application for federal student aid, affectionately known as the FAFSA, to help you get going with that financial aid process. So again, that's assistance from the government to help you go to school. And if you're a visiting student, for the most part, you're going to pay for classes out of pocket in that scenario. All students, if you want to be eligible for financial assistance, you're going to be submitting your final high school transcript or GED certificate. That is a federal requirement. If you are a transfer student, you will want to submit transcripts from any college or university you have attended, because again, we want to be able to give you that credit, and that way you can be exempt from potential placement testing depending on your credits transferring in for math and for English. As a brand new college student, if you've got ACT or SAT wow, let me try that again. ACT or SAT test scores, there we go, that qualify, you can be exempt from placement testing. Or if you have a current GPA that's high enough, we can use that for your English placement. Otherwise, if you have stepped out of high school for a while and you want to do our placement testing process, it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward, but we do require math and English placement testing. All brand new college students have to go through orientation and speak with a counselor to help you pick out your academic classes and create an academic plan. And transfer students and returning students, we encourage you to do that as well. Especially if you're a transfer student bringing in credit, you want to see how that applies towards your curriculum. So there's a lot of different pieces to the puzzle here, but that's just a quick rundown of steps that you have to complete. Really, it boils down to getting started with that application. And again, that is free. And if you are somebody who has to do any placement testing for us, that's free to you as well. And it doesn't cost you anything. Just a few things to note here. I want to point out we have some really great things here at TriC. First is our multiple locations. That is really convenient for all of our students. You can take classes anywhere that it's convenient for you. So if it's easier for you to be closer to home or closer to work, you can make that happen. Course flexibility is huge here at TriC, not only with our day, evening, and weekend classes that are available, but also the different formats that we're offering courses, especially with the pandemic. We've had a lot of pivoting to do and a lot of virtual opportunities as well. Every student at TriC gets a free RTA pass. So we never want transportation to prevent a student from earning a quality education. So we include that in your tuition every semester you're registered. We do offer veterans benefits. So if you are a veteran, the child of a veteran, or the spouse of a veteran, you could be eligible to use those benefits towards your tuition at TriC. And we have staff on campus to help you get that paperwork in order. Student Accessibility Services is our office that helps students who need accommodation. So if you are somebody who needs extra test taking time or a quiet test taking space, or you have a documented disability, or you had an IEP in high school and you want to continue those services to the college level, that's the office you're going to want to work with to make sure you get your accommodations in place. Our Transfer Center helps our students get connected to our four-year partners. So Dr. Brathwaite mentioned a lot of students go on to transfer to a four-year college or university and finish their bachelor's degree. And that's not uncommon at TriC. And a few years ago, we established a Transfer Center to help our students make those connections early. We want to make sure that not only your credit's going to transfer to that institution, but it's going to apply towards your degree program. So we have a transfer center on campus. Our transfer specialists can help you get connected. And we have established partnerships with well over 50 colleges and universities around the state and around the country. So we have a lot to offer in regards to helping our students transfer out of TriC. We have free tutoring in a variety of subject areas. We also have a writing center that helps students with papers and lab reports. Career Services helps our students get connected with internships, jobs. Dr. Brathwaite mentioned a whole bunch through the department that has those connections. It seems like he knows somebody everywhere, but our Career Services office is a great alternative to help our students kind of build that connection as well. They also do things like resume writing workshops, helping you build your cover letter, and they do interview preparation as well. Student life and athletics, great ways to get involved. lots of student organizations that you can participate in. And then athletics currently is suspended for the 21-22 school year, and we're hoping to revamp our athletics in the fall of 2022. So we're excited about that and to see our athletics teams come back. And the last thing is just affordability, right? We try to make TriC as affordable as possible. You've heard about so many grants and scholarship opportunities. So I've mentioned the financial aid process before. We also have tuition incentives. So if you are a student who can go to school full time, there is a possibility that you could get reimbursed for classes that you've paid for just by being enrolled as a full-time student. And then lastly, our scholarship application. It's free. The only thing to do to be considered for academic scholarships in general to get started is the FAFSA and our scholarship application. So we keep it pretty simple and straightforward. If you have any additional questions, there's someone like me at every single campus. So we are here to help answer those basic questions. If you say, I don't know where to start, I don't know what to do next, you can call one of us and we are here to help. My colleague Bob Madison and Sarah Baldwin also help with a couple of our specialty programs on campus. But if you know that you want to start at the Western Campus in Parma, you would want to reach out to Melissa or me. As of right now, we are open 2 days a week, Mondays and Thursdays, 8:30 to 5 p.m. through the end of July. And then come August 2nd, we are open again 5 days a week. And we are very excited to welcome everybody back. I work in the Enrollment Center. Again, we've been open this whole time. Even if it's just 2 days a week, we're still here to serve you and help you get through the process. But if you are somebody who is still a little hesitant about coming to campus, know that we can help you virtually complete any step that you need. So at this point, there's a couple of questions that have popped in. So I'm going to see if those are for me and for my colleagues. I'm a returning student with a Bachelor in Arts and pursuing an Associate's in Network Administration. I completed the application in FAFSA. What are the next steps? That's a great question. So that's really going to depend on what type of student you are. So I'm going to drop my contact information in the chat, and if you don't mind sending me an email or giving me a call, and I can walk you through. It's hard for me to do that now on a public presentation, and I don't want to pull up your student record, but we will address that. And again, I'm going to drop my contact information in the chat here as well, and that way you can please reach out to me or give me a call. And the important thing I need in an email or a voicemail is your name and date of birth or your TriC student ID number so I can pull up your record. So there we go. And then the financial support is a challenge and looking for scholarship opportunities. Great. I would encourage you to start with the FAFSA. That's going to be the biggest one, the free application for federal student aid. If you need help with the FAFSA or you have any questions, please contact our financial aid office. They are available by phone, by email, or live chat. So we have a live chat feature through our website where you can actually talk to somebody in a chat function between 8:30 a.m. and 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. So our financial aid office would be a great place to start if you have questions about the FAFSA and financial aid process. I would also encourage you to do our scholarship application. That's the best place to start. We have a general scholarship application. It's going to match you to any scholarships you're eligible to receive. And some of these specialized scholarships within STEM, within other departments, if they have any other essays or requirements and you meet the minimum qualifications, we will reach out to you and let you know what other items you need to submit to be considered. And Dr. Brathwaite's shaking his head yes. So those are the two big things we want you to do, FAFSA and scholarship application. And then there's other grant opportunities as well that each department kind of hones in on with their students to help make it affordable. So please visit our website as well. If you go to TriC at the very top of the page, there should be a button that says paying for college, and it does go through a lot of different opportunities. And also look in your community. You'd be surprised how many outside scholarships and grants are available to students through your church, through your Kiwanis clubs, your local cities, even $500, which may not seem like a large scholarship, that can pay for a class at TriC if you're an in-county student. So there's some great opportunities in your community as well.
Can I just add something to help with the financial aid aspect too?
Absolutely.
Our financial aid office at TriC looks for two main things when they're reviewing your application: the completion of your FAFSA form, which Danielle just went over, and that you're registered for classes. I have a lot of students who have submitted applications for ChooseOhioFirst. And then when we look they haven't registered for any classes yet. And while I can say you are in good standing to possibly receive a scholarship, our financial aid department can't really say anything about awards until they actually have you registered for some classes. So sometimes that causes some confusion too.
And the two programs that I mentioned, the Bridges to the Baccalaureate and the LSAM program, they are independent of your financial aid. We don't ask any financial aid questions about you being part of that program. Once you've met the criteria for the program and you are part of the program, your stipend is delivered to you on a regular basis once you've completed. So we have we mentioned the transfer center. Part of what the LSAM students have to do, they have to meet with the people in the transfer center, Jamie, and I can't remember the other lady's name, right? They have to meet with them. They have to complete a transfer plan. Once that plan is completed, I think we give them $200. Like, if you do some paperwork and you get $200, yes, you get your $200. You come from the transfer plan. You're part of the. We paid for a course for you that we call like I said, we call the course core. We pay for the core course for you. Halfway through the course, as long as you're registered and you're doing the work, you get half of the stipend, $700 and something. At the end of the course, we give you the other half of the money. Pass or fail, as long as you participate in the course, you get your money. So, and again, has no bearing on financial aid. We don't ask, are you getting financial aid? This is money that we actually give you a bank card, and that money goes right into your bank account. So there are opportunities like that. Considering, and we are only two of the programs at TriC. There is the Mandel Scholars who get their stipends. So there's really, if students are curious about making their way through college with the help of the institution, and you just have to explore it. And I guarantee you that there is some financial incentive for you to continue your studies at TriC. It doesn't find you. You've got to find it, right? You got to complete the necessary paperwork, make the necessary inquiry. And if you make that inquiry, you will find that there is some financial resource for you at TriC as a student, full-time or part-time.
All right. Is there any other questions for us this evening?
And Daniel, I don't really know a whole lot of people. What I do know, when I was in the classroom, I told my students that I'm very selfish. I don't want students, I want colleagues. So just like I can have an electric problem and call up Mike and say, I have an electric problem, come help me, take care of it. That's what I do. I really want to, and I've encountered this. I've gone into places, medical facilities, and there is a former student who is now the nurse, the technician in that facility. And I get tremendous pleasure of being out in the community and knowing that I had some part in that student's life in their career path. So those students don't get away because I send current students to talk to my former students. So that's why it seems like I know a lot of people, really, they're former students, so I'm sending you to talk to.
All righty. Any other questions for us this evening?
So we encourage the students to come in and really join the TriC family, and that's how we feel about ourselves. That so recently in the spring, the couple of the students who were taking the core course, chatting with them because they were working with insects. I said, do you know that insects play a major role in pathology? They're like, really? I said, yeah, one of our former students is now in the coroner's office. And immediately they asked, could they get an internship in the coroner's office to see what goes on there? So again, the power of the community college, we keep the word community in the things that we do. We reach back to our former student. That former student actually has taught for us as an adjunct faculty. And so when a student gets to see an example like that someone started off at TriC, transferred to a four-year school, completed the bachelor's, went on, completed the master's degree, it creates tremendous hope for them to see that that person looks just like me and they have gained academic success, and so can I.
That's awesome. I think that's a great way to wrap up, Dr. Brathwaite. So I want to thank you and Rebecca and all of our prospective students who joined us this evening. We really appreciate you taking the time to learn more about TriC and the opportunities that we can offer. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me, to any of us. And we look forward to seeing you on campus soon. Thanks, everybody.
I offered them a tour of the STEM building. I think this is a real magnificent building that we're in. I offered them a tour of the STEM building. If you're ever on campus, just alert me before you come and say I was one of the students on your presentation, and I would love to come in and see the STEM building, and I would be glad to walk you through our various really exciting spaces here on the Western campus.
That's awesome. Thanks, Dr. Brathwaite. All right, have a great night, everybody.
Okay, bye-bye to all.
Bye.